Hello, I'm Samantha and my group is doing chapter 1. I'm going to go ahead and start off with some definitions that are going to be important in this class. Anatomy is the first definition, and the definition is going to be studies the structure of body parts and their relationships to one another. The important part of that definition is to remember the structure. Second definition is going to be physiology, and the definition to that one is concerns the function of the body. I also put in parentheses how the body parts work and carry out their life-sustaining activities. And the highlighted portion or word for that definition is going to be function. Another definition that's going to be important in this class is going to be gross anatomy, also called macroscopic anatomy. The study of large body structures visible to the naked eye. Examples are heart, lungs, and kidneys. And then lastly, we have systematic anatomy. And the definition to that is body structure is studied system by system. And now I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the organ systems for the body. The first one is going to be skeletal system. And the main organs to this system is obviously the skeleton. The main function is that it gives our body structure and protects our major organs. Here's a picture to help out. And then the next one is going to be muscular system. And the main organs for this is muscles. The main functions are that it maintains posture, produces heat, and moves our body or allows body movement. And following that is nervous system. Main organs for this are brain, your spinal cord, and nerve cells. The main functions is that it controls and coordinates the body's responses to stimuli. Here's a helpful picture. The next one is the endocrine system. Main organs are the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, thyroid, parathyroid, your thymus, your pancreas, testes and ovaries, and your adrenal gland. Its main function is for hormones that will control growth, development, and metabolism. The next one is your cardiovascular system. Main organs for that are heart and blood vessels. Main functions are a transportation system of our bodies. Following is the lymphatic system. Main organs are red bone marrow, lymphatic vessels, spleen, lymph nodes, and thoracic duct. Main functions is that it houses white blood cells, disposes of debris, and disposes of debris in the lymphatic system. And next we have our respiratory system. Main organs are nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, lung, bronchus, and trachea. Its main functions is to keep blood constantly supplied with oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. Next is our digestive system. Main organs are its oral cavity, the liver, rectum, stomach, small intestines, the esophagus, and large intestines. Its main functions are to break down food into absorbable units that enter the blood from distribution to body cells. And here's an image. And lastly, we have the urinary system. Its main organs are kidneys, ureter, urinary bladder, and urethra. Its main functions are that it eliminates waste, regulates water, electrolytes, and acid-base balance of the blood. Here's an image.
The human body. So first off, I'm going to talk to you guys about levels of structural organization. So as you can see at the bottom, this is the simplest level. That level is a chemical level. The body is made up of chemicals, therefore, the first level, simplest level. After that, we have the cellular level. Body is mostly made up of cells, so that's why that comes next. Then we have tissues. 2 or more cells working together is the definition for tissue levels. After tissue levels, we work our way up to organ levels. Organ levels are 2 or more tissues working together, and these are all working together to form a similar function. After organ level, we have organ system level. That is 2 or more organs put together, again, to form a similar function. An example of that one is the cardiovascular system. And finally, after our organ system level, we have our organismic level. That is 2 or more or all organ system levels working together. So that's about it for our level of structural organization.
Homeostasis is your body's ability to maintain relatively stable internal conditions even though the outside world is changing. For example, the thermostat. If I was to change the temperature down to say 50 degrees, although it would be colder outside, my body would maintain a very similar temperature to if it was, say, 70 or 80 degrees in here. Another good example is blood sugar. If I was to eat an entire candy cane, or say 10 candy canes, my body would eventually regulate its sugar levels in order to return back to that stable internal environment that I started at. There are 2 kinds of homeostasis feedback mechanisms. The first one is the negative feedback. Negative feedback works against the stimulus. So most types of homeostasis use the negative feedback mechanism. Now, another type of feedback mechanism is the positive feedback mechanism. And that's typically seen in childbirth or with your blood clotting. And what that does is it loops to enhance the stimulus instead of working against the stimulus.
Hey guys, so now I'm going to talk to you about languages of anatomy and body planes and sections. So first off, I'm going to tell you guys about the 3 main body sections or planes. The first one is the frontal or coronal cut. It comes right down here, all the way down, leaving you with two sides, a front and a back, or anterior and a posterior side. And then our next cut is the sagittal cut. That cut is a straight up and down cut, leaving you with a left and right, but there's a subcategory with 2 other parts. So we have our mid-sagittal cut, which is right down the middle, being that mid is in the beginning of the word. And we also have our parasagittal cut, which is any cut up and down, leaving left and right, but the middle. And then finally, we have our horizontal cut, or our transverse cut. That's cutting it right here, dividing it into a top and a bottom half. Okay, so that is it for our planes and sections. Now I'm going to tell you guys and show you the anatomical position and a couple things with this guy right here. So this skeleton, his arms do not turn very well, but if you see his palms are facing forward, his head forward, body erect, that means he is in anatomical position. That's where you always want to start off when talking about anything anatomy. So to start off, when they're in anatomical position, this front side we call anterior side or ventral side. Then when we turn them around, this right here is the posterior side or the dorsal side. Just like dolphins have dorsal fins on their back, that's where we get the name. Now if we bring it back here, when we're talking anything up towards the head, we are talking about the word superior. And if we're talking anything below the head down to the toes, we're talking about inferior. If this guy had some skin on him, then we would say, or I would show you that is called superficial, and what you see right here is deep. So the skin is superficial, the bone would be deep, so you get the idea of that. Then we also have proximal and distal. So it's talking about any point of origin. So if we have, let's say, the elbow is proximal to the wrist, meaning it's up, it's away from the point of origin. And if we're saying the knee bone or the patella is distal to the hip bone, because it is further down away, distance down, that's how I remember it. And then we also have medial, which is towards the middle, and lateral, which is out towards the right or out towards the left. Let's see, what else do we have? I believe that's it for languages of anatomy. When talking about anything anatomy, those are the words you want to use. They're universal, everyone knows them, and that's how we describe things on us and on other people.
Body cavities are the spaces inside the body that are filled with organs. The first body cavity I'm going to be talking about is the dorsal body cavity. You can see the dorsal body cavity on this image in yellow. The dorsal body cavity contains the cranial cavity, which is the brain, and the vertebral cavity, which is the spinal cord. The next cavity I'm going to be talking about is the ventral body cavity. The ventral body cavity contains the thoracic cavity, which is the pericardial cavity, your heart, the mediastinum, and the pleural cavity, which is your right and your left lungs. The next portion of the ventral body cavity is the abdominal pelvic cavity, seen here. The abdominal pelvic cavity contains the abdominal cavity and the pelvic cavity. Inside the pelvic cavity, you're going to find things such as your bladder and your reproductive organs.